Great Easter. Here's CBS.
This is the CBS Evening News. Bob Schieffer sitting in tonight for Dan Rather. Good evening. The administration has ordered 1,300 U.S. troops to Panama tonight because of the growing instability there, and CBS News has learned that under a plan now being considered, that may be only the first part of a much larger operation. CBS News Pentagon correspondent David Martin has our report.
CBS News has been told the Reagan administration is considering a plan to overthrow Panama's Manuel Noriega by triggering a new political crisis, which Pentagon officials say would require sending in 2 infantry brigades, some 8,000 combat troops. That would roughly double the number of combat troops already there. No final decisions have been made, but tonight the Pentagon announced it is sending about 1,300 military policemen, along with 26 additional helicopters, to further beef up security around American installations and the Panama Canal. That comes on top of 700 additional security personnel sent in last week. The plan to overthrow Noriega was proposed by the State Department earlier this week following these violent scenes at a Panama hotel in which several American journalists were roughed up and arrested. For the moment, both Defense Secretary Frank Carlucci and Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Admiral William Crowe, opposed the plan because it would require the commitment of American combat troops to Panama. The standoff between defense and state is a throwback to the battle over the presence of the Marines in Lebanon, in which Schultz's recommendations to use more force put him at odds with the Pentagon.
The Secretary of State feels that there is a use for force, there's a place for the use of force in the conduct of our diplomacy.
In the current debate over Panama, key State Department officials like Elliott Abrams have made no secret of their feelings that it may take more than economic sanctions to get rid of Manuel Noriega. But one Pentagon official called the State Department proposals bellicose and short-sighted.
The one thing everybody can agree on is the need for more security for Americans in Panama. None of the president's men want to see the final months of his administration marred by another hostage crisis. Bob?
David, when you say considering, what exactly does that mean? Is this something that's about to happen, 8,000 troops to Panama?
Not about to happen, Bob. Given the degree of Pentagon opposition to this State Department plan, I think it would take a major change in the situation on the ground in Panama before the Department of Defense changed its mind.
But it is considering.
It is considering it.
Thank you, David. A break today for embattled U.S. Attorney General Edwin Meese. The special prosecutor investigating Meese says there is no reason yet to indict him. Even so, Meese's troubles aren't over yet. Robert Shackney reports on that.
Under siege, the Attorney General and his lawyers took the unusual step of asking Special Prosecutor James McKay to make a public statement about the investigation. Today they got an answer they liked.
Based on the evidence developed to date, I do not intend to recommend that the grand jury return an indictment against Mr. Meese as to the Aqaba pipeline matter or as to the matters relating to Mr. Meese's investments, including the so-called Baby Bells matter.
In the pipeline case, McKay had been investigating whether Meese had covered up an illegal bribe offer hatched by his friend, attorney E. Bob Wallach. The scheme involved proposed payoffs to the Israeli government and members of that country's Labor Party to protect a proposed $1 billion Iraqi oil pipeline. But a key witness in this investigation, Swiss businessman Bruce Rappaport, informed McKay only this week he would not cooperate. In the Baby Bell case, McKay had been investigating whether Meese violated conflict of interest laws by ruling in favor of regional telephone companies at a time when he owned stock in those companies. It isn't a complete vindication. McKay said his grand jury investigation would continue for at least another month. But unless there's dramatic new evidence, legal experts believe Meese is out of the woods.
I think he's got reason to celebrate this statement. It's an unusual statement coming as it does, but it seems to signal the fact that Mr. McKay has concluded his investigation for all intents and purposes.
Even if there are no indictments, McKay says he'll be issuing a public report, a report that he hints strongly will be critical of the Attorney General. Robert Shackney, CBS News, Washington.
The Attorney General used McKay's no indictment on the horizon statement to justify staying in office.
If a person has to step aside merely on the basis of some allegation, however false, then it would be easy for unscrupulous persons to make allegations and therefore literally cause people to step aside and move out of their offices.
Meese said he was not characterizing top Justice Department officials who resigned this week over his activities as unscrupulous, but he shrugged off their belief that he's created the appearance of conflict of interest.
I have had so many expressions to me personally to the contrary, so that I think that the action that I'm taking is in the best interest of the department, and I'm satisfied with that.
Meese said he'll announce nominees to fill 3 top Justice Department jobs next week. Sources say his picks are Francis Keating, now an Assistant Treasury Secretary, for Associate Attorney General; James Knapp, who's had several previous Justice Department jobs, for Head of the Criminal Division; and former federal Judge Arlen Adams of Philadelphia for Deputy Attorney General. Some Justice Department sources say Adams has reservations about taking the job, but he could not be reached for comment. Another current Justice Department official with reservations about Meese has himself decided to stay, Solicitor General Charles Freed. But Justice Department officials confirmed that Freed told the Attorney General that Meese should resign. Today, Freed issued a statement saying, "I felt it was my duty to him and to the department to tell him clearly what course of action I thought he should follow." But Meese will stay on, despite the fact that he has become a major political issue.
When Mr. Meese asked Mr. Reagan, should he stay on, Mrs. Reagan should advise him, just say no.
So I would hope at long last that the Attorney General would resign. It's long overdue, and that the President would appoint somebody as Attorney General who he can be proud of.
The President is still backing his Attorney General, but a new poll out tonight by U.S. News and World Report shows that Americans want Meese out of office by a greater than 2-to-1 margin. Rita Braver, CBS News, Washington.
For more than a month now, Iran and Iraq have been firing missiles at each other's cities. But today, Iran told the United Nations it's ready to call off attacks on Iraqi cities if Iraq would do the same. We have a report from Anthony Mason tonight on the toll in the Iranian capital.
Noontime in one of Tehran's main squares. A siren warns of another Iraqi missile attack. A few people look up, some take shelter. A Scud missile may be on its way. It may not. The uncertainty is almost as frightening as the sound of the explosion. For more than a month, Tehran has been attacked almost every day. Sometimes 1 or 2 missiles, sometimes 8 or 9. The physical damage to this sprawling city has been slight. The psychological damage is far more severe. Friday prayers seem to lack the old revolutionary fire. More than half the population has fled the city. Those who've remained have moved underground. This is the parking garage of a government building, 2 levels the size of 4 football fields. For weeks, thousands have made their homes on large blankets or old carpets. You'll find them studying or sleeping here, even in the middle of a sunny afternoon. On the street, many Iranians stopped to watch bulldozers clearing the ruins of a recent air raid, perhaps imagining their own homes in the rubble, their own belongings being rescued. More than a dozen houses were destroyed here a week ago with a single Iraqi missile. The victims, just like the soldiers who fall at the front, are considered martyrs. A poster honors a bus company worker killed in an attack. His family has been left a symbolic offering, some coins and a few bus tickets. 2 UN representatives were in Tehran this week, and for a few days, the skies were suddenly quiet. It always happens, said an official. We try to keep them here as long as we can. After a month in Iraq's sights, Tehran is visibly worn and weary. The missiles may strike only a few parts of the city, but everyone feels the reverberations. Anthony Mason, CBS News, Tehran.
In Nicaragua, the Sandinista government and Contra rebels began a formal 60-day ceasefire today to work out a permanent end to their 6.5-year war. That came as President Reagan signed a $48 million humanitarian aid measure for the Contras and child victims of the war. Then the president took off for California on a 10-day Easter vacation. Still to come on tonight's CBS Evening News, Bob Simon on Good Friday in a bad time in the Holy Land, and Richard Schlesinger with some new fashions you may not see in the Easter parade.
I know choosing a medicine is an important family decision, but for me, it's also an easy decision. The day my son was born was the first time that I was given Tylenol. It took care of the pain without irritating my stomach like aspirin or even ibuprofen can. Getting Tylenol that day really impressed me. When a hospital gives it to you, that's the best reason of all to trust Tylenol. I know it is for my family.
Trust Tylenol, the pain reliever hospitals use most.
We know how you love shrimp.
It's the once-a-year Red Lobster Shrimp Festival, featuring the shrimp sampler and our enormous shrimp feast. Platters start at just $6.95. Kids for just $1.95. Now that's a shrimp festival.
We know how you love shrimp.
The Red Lobster Shrimp Festival.
Try the shrimp and crab leg feast, just $10.95 on Fridays and Saturdays only.
My new tango student, attractive. I moved in for a closer look.
Shall we begin?
That was a mistake. His breath.
Is there something wrong?
I felt trapped. There was no place to hide.
Excuse me.
You're excused.
How could I forget my scope? Bad breath germs, pulverized. Okay, where is she?
Oh, no.
Ready to tango?
Oh, yes. What a difference. For a positive reaction, the power of scope is the 1, 2, 3.
Two of the most important religious observances came on the same day this year. Good Friday began this morning, Passover this evening. In Rome, Pope John Paul II carried a 6-foot wooden cross through the ancient Colosseum in a torchlight procession to commemorate the suffering and death of Jesus. In Israel today, there was more suffering and more death, and Bob Simon reports.
In the Holy City this morning, the Passion of Christ was being remembered. The anguish of the Palestinians was being marked during and after Friday prayers. And Jews were preparing to observe Passover, the holy day which celebrates their freedom from bondage in Egypt.
We're happy we're free, and yet in a deep sense our freedom is incomplete because the Palestinians have not yet fully emerged as a dignified national people.
The uprising did not stop for Good Friday. In Ramallah, a protest march by Arab women was interrupted by another kind of incense, tear gas, and mace. Meanwhile, His Beatitude, Michel Saba, was celebrating Mass in the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. This year, Saba became the first Arab Latin Patriarch of Jerusalem in 1,500 years. His parishioners?
They are all worried about peace, and when we shall have peace, and when we shall finish with all this tormented situation.
On some Jerusalem streets, there were more police than pilgrims. In other parts of the Holy Land, the trouble seemed far away. In the Church of the Beatitudes overlooking the Sea of Galilee. In the Trappist monastery of Latrun, which was battered by artillery in 2 Arab-Israeli wars. In the Crusader Church of Abu Ghosh, where Richard the Lionhearted stopped on his way to Jerusalem. Jerusalem has always been the city of holy wars. On this Good Friday, a Jewish policeman was stabbed by a Muslim demonstrator not far from where Christians were praying at the 3rd station of the cross, where Christ fell for the first time.
I could see Jesus on the cross. This week has become even more holy because of the events and the bloodshed in the West Bank and the Gaza Strip.
In Gaza, angry Palestinians were let out of their homes for the first time since the territories were sealed off 3 days ago. When the West Bank village of Beit Eba was opened today, residents claimed that soldiers wrecked their cars with pickaxes, broke their windows, and beat up their kids after being stoned by the young men of the village. Army spokesman tonight said they had no information on the incident. And some Palestinians marked this holy day with another communique declaring war on the American peace plan. The clandestine leadership of the revolt in the territories is calling for clashes with Israeli soldiers and a general strike to coincide with George Shultz's arrival in Jerusalem on Easter Sunday. One more vision of peace in the city of Revelation, the city where Christ rose from the dead, where Mohammed rose to heaven from the very same stone where Abraham heard the voice of God. Bob Simon, CBS News, Jerusalem.
And in North Africa this week, a modern-day version of a biblical plague seems to be unfolding. CBS News correspondent Mark Phillips has our report on that.
The skies over North Africa have been darkening lately, not with the rains of spring, but with a plague of locusts. The worst infestation in 30 years has swarmed into Morocco, Algeria, and Tunisia, heading for the main crop-producing areas. The locusts have already spread over 10,000 square miles, and these pictures, taken by the United Nations in Tunisia a few days ago, show the insect clouds are still on the move. The UN Food and Agricultural Organization, the FAO, has appealed for money and equipment to fight the locusts before they can feed and breed, before it's too late. The last locust plague in Africa lasted 14 years.
It's in some ways almost biblical.
But this locust plague had man-made, not biblical beginnings. The insects bred in war-torn Chad and Mauritania before moving west and then northeast along the African coast. Locust fighters at FAO headquarters in Rome had tracked the insects using satellite pictures, but the civil wars in the breeding areas prevented them from acting.
The main problem has been that the ground teams are just not able to get off the roads because of things like minefields. The locusts are very good at finding areas where man can't get at them.
But the locusts are now getting at man. They're not only threatening the fertile belt of North Africa, depending on the winds, they could strike Europe.
It could spread to Malta, could spread to Sicily, could spread to Italy. Well, sure, it's a very serious problem.
A problem that has taken the form of a war against the locusts. A war that must be won now, or the deadly 14-year cycle could be repeated. Mark Phillips, CBS News, Rome.
A Soviet cultural leader has accused Communist Party officials of covering up the extent of a disastrous library fire 6 weeks ago, which he likened to a literary Chernobyl. The cultural leader said the fire in the Leningrad library destroyed or damaged more than 3 million books and periodicals. He said covering up this loss, which included many rare treasures, amounted to upside-down glasnost.
They could see you now out on a fun-ship cruise. You're eating fancy food and doing what you choose. I'd like your friends back home to get a good look at the first-rate carnival cruise that you took. All I can say is, wow, hey, look at where you are. What a fun ship, holy cow. They'd never believe it if your friends could see you now.
Take a 3, 4, or 7-day cruise on Carnival, the most popular cruise line in the world.
Why do they call it heartburn? When it's me, your stomach, that's hurting. When antacids don't stop the pain from coming back, it could be an ulcer. It's okay, because there are treatment programs to help heal ulcers. If you think you have an ulcer, go see your doctor and ask about the available treatment programs. Sponsored by SmithKline & French, the ulcer experts. You could make your stomach very happy.
In the new world of minivans, nobody does it like the Ford Aerostar. Nobody gives you the highly distinctive styling, the smooth riding comfort, the engineering innovations of Ford Aerostar. For the discriminating,
Baby, you're the best.
nobody does it like Ford Aerostar.
During Ford's Leadership Celebration, get a $500 cash bonus on Aerostar vans and wagons.
The Labor Department today reported the nation's civilian unemployment rate dropped 1/10 of a percentage point to 5.6% in March. That's the lowest jobless rate since May of 1979. One category of employment that did not show improvement last month was manufacturing. After climbing through the last half of 1987, factory employment in March was stagnant for the second month in a row, in part because Americans are doing badly something they once did well. Business correspondent Ray Brady explains.
There's plenty of room for 3 couples to ride comfortably.
The good old days.
Balanced springs have smoothed out the bumpiest roads.
America led the world in designing a flood of bold new products.
It's overall beauty that women all over the country helped us build into it.
Consumers were dazzled and rushed to buy.
Frigidaire Deluxe models for 1957.
The kitchen of tomorrow is calling me.
The guarantee was in the label, made in the USA. But not today.
Made in the USA probably means it's not a well-designed product.
And if a product isn't well-designed, nobody wants to buy it. That's one reason why, even though the dollar's way down, U.S. companies can't deliver a knockout blow to foreign competitors.
At this Manhattan Design Show, store owners are stocking up on products from Italy, France, Japan, and a shaver that doesn't look like it was made in America.
People think that because of the lines and the designs that we have, that it is a European company. People really flatter us by saying that.
Every year, more Brown products pour into this country from Germany. At last count, U.S. sales doubled in just 1 year. Why? Ask the designer of their award-winning products.
Because Brown products are not only made for the eyes, not only. They are also very good in their functions.
I've got a Brown coffee maker, and then in our office here, we've got some American design. Gee, it's ugly.
This is the one the client liked the best.
Top American designers complain they can't sell their ideas to U.S. companies. Most of Charles Pelly's customers are foreign companies who take the products he designs, then turn around and sell them here.
There's a new drive behind British business.
In Britain, Margaret Thatcher's Conservative government just announced a startling $88 million program to beef up the design of British products.
The Enterprise Initiative from the DTI. Take it.
The Iron Lady herself is giving them the soft sell.
Now, this is a rather old-fashioned kind of torch, not easy to carry. Now, we are producing in this country a much better one, absolutely first-class. Look, it can go in anyone's handbag, and I shall now carry one with me almost everywhere.
I can't somehow see President Reagan putting the same initiative. Maybe Nancy might.
Actually, both Reagans did. In a commercial for General Electric.
Hello. Our lighting in here is rather interesting, too. See? Over the sofa and over each chair are individual lights built right into the ceiling.
But that was more than 2 decades ago.
Watch when I turn it down.
Isn't it lovely?
Those were the days when U.S. companies got spoiled by the huge American market. With few foreign competitors, they knew they could sell almost anything the factories churned out, no matter what it looked like.
That sort of cynicism, you know, is maybe one of the reasons that America has some rather dire economic problems at the moment.
You can see here we've modified this handle somewhat.
Some U.S. firms, like Black & Decker, have gone back to the drawing board.
There's a realization that is rippling through America and American corporations that design is important to them. It's very critical.
They're trying to return style to products that once carried that proud label, made in the USA.
And with the floor of the front compartment cleared of gear lever and handbrake,
Ray Brady, CBS News, New York.
Take a look around you. It's a time to put the best to work for you.
And here's our action warranty.
We're the best at what we do. We're the ones coming through for you. Let's get together. Down forever.
Great.
Come with us.
We love the place.
Put your trust in #1.
What a team.
21.
Hemorrhoids. They hurt, burn, and swell. And more doctors recommend Anusol to relieve the hurting than all other hemorrhoid medicines combined. Anusol is the word to remember for relief.
The first name in copiers probably isn't the copier name you think of first. But it's a name that links speed and performance with uncompromising reliability and makes innovative technology simple to use. For meeting the needs of every size business, business relies on the most popular copiers in America. From personal to high-performance copiers, the choice is Canon. Call toll-free 1-800-OK-CANON.
Heartburn again?
Yeah.
Take some Riapan Plus 2. It's double strength.
I hope it works fast.
In lab tests, Riapan Plus 2 starts neutralizing acid in 10 seconds.
You look better.
You want to go out for a banana split?
Riapan Plus 2, the fast antacid.
We cast a wide net here at CBS News in our ongoing effort to keep you informed, and what we've come up with tonight is the latest news on haircuts. Richard Schlesinger reports.
Barbershops are not what they used to be, and barbers aren't either. Experts now say barbers are artists. Their willing customers are living canvases. Hair is the medium. The message can be political or more abstract.
It's a difficult thing to do, because if you make a mistake, you ruin the whole thing. Then you have to shave it all off.
The designs people choose for their heads are not always original. That's Fred Flintstone peering over an ear, but they do always have the same effect.
Well, I get a lot of attention, you know, especially from the girls, you know.
Just work out. I started when I was a baby, 6 years old. I really have it. It's amazing.
But is a hairy Fred Flintstone art?
That's not my idea of art, because it's not sculpture in the hair. You're just putting something in. It's silly. It's like kid stuff. You see what I'm saying? This is more adult form of art.
At some barbershops in New York's black neighborhoods, barbers give their customers African-style designs drawn from tribal identification markings.
Some actually resemble the authentic cuts, and some we improvised.
But in Los Angeles, where the bizarre is ordinary, it's mostly improvisation.
It's almost like a necktie or some little accent that everybody has its own idea of what they like to see.
Using scissors, clippers, and some paint, someone perfectly ordinary looking can be made over in a matter of hours and come out looking like this. And that, for reasons known only to the person in the chair, is important.
Just by looking at me, they know that I don't work for somebody else.
I've always said that wearing a very radical hairstyle does build character.
Words to live by, words to remember, to take comfort in as these moving works of art experience life outside the barber shop.
Nobody's going to ask me out for a date.
Richard Schlesinger, CBS News, New York.
That's the news. Bob Schieffer sitting in tonight for Dan Rather. He'll be back on Monday. Good night.
Headaches, backaches, muscle aches and pains. Millions of you experience this kind of everyday pain. And you should know that the pain reliever that's unbeaten for ailments like these is Tylenol. But it wouldn't make any sense to relieve your pain and then irritate your stomach. That's why you should choose a pain reliever that won't cause the stomach irritation possible with aspirin or even ibuprofen. That's why your choice should be Tylenol. It's tough on pain, easy on your stomach.
Have you heard about this left brain, right brain stuff? Take steak. The left brain believes in moderation. The right brain just knows it's good. Nice thing about sirloin, makes the whole brain happy. Beef, real food for real people.
The guys around the office think I bought a Buick Regal because it's so beautifully designed and so comfortable. And they're right. But they also think I got a raise because in their eternal wisdom, they think this Regal cost $2,000 or $3,000 more than it did. If that's what you think, go see your Buick dealer. You'll find Regal is priced with T-Bird and Cougar, even less. But don't tell the guys around the office.
The great American look belongs to Buick.
Where does it hurt?
Here.
For indigestion, heartburn, and gas, nobody does as much as Malox Plus. Dose for dose, it neutralizes more than any regular strength antacid and dissolves gas. Nobody does as much as Malox Plus.
This is CBS.
Coming up on Eyewitness News tonight, you'll meet one of the heroes in yesterday's bank robbery and police shooting. Plus, you'll hear from the wounded police officer's wife, and we'll find out why thousands of Nissan automobiles and trucks are sitting in a Smyrna cow pasture. Those stories and a lot more coming up next on Eyewitness News.
Hi.
How did you get up here?
In the amazing Isuzu Trooper 2. Of course, near the top, I did have